Welcome to part 2. We're here with Peter and we're going to get deep about the writing of the Mind's Eye Theatre. We're going to delve deep into how it's all done and the craft of it. Peter.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
So, your first book was a thriller. You've stopped writing these altogether. You now write horror and sci-fi. What's the difference in the genres?
That's interesting. My first book was a thriller, Under Fire. I've taken it off the market. It was a trilogy. Under Fire had Curse, Land and Brimstone as well. I've taken them off the market because I've moved on from them. I am proud of Under Fire, but the politics of it has moved on. I wrote that to be a coming out book, it being my first one. And it involved a killer who believed he was curing himself by killing other gay people because he was tortured as a child by his parents. And my main character was a former naval rescue officer, like a Navy SEAL type. And it was fun to write and it was good to put it out there. And the politics moved on from the politics of the time. There's something about thrillers that make them very topical, very here and now. And you can write a thriller and it could be very true for its time and its era. For example, if I write a spy thriller, I can have the Soviet Union as my antagonist until there's no longer a Soviet Union. Now it's a Russia or a China. But tomorrow China might no longer be the antagonist, or things change. And thrillers, they need to be at the cutting edge of headlines. That's fine, and you can write those and tell those stories. But I wanted to tell stories that are more timeless, that aren't as topical. Science fiction talks about what might be and possible futures. And it's speculating about what might await us, while still looking at humanity as it is and not as it should be necessarily. So it has a bit more of a lifespan. And then horror, of course, is timeless. There's something timeless. Even if you watch, an old Hammer black and white horror, there's something about it that is still true. Stephen King once said that fiction is the truth within the lie. And I've always wanted to tell the truth in my fiction. And I find it increasingly difficult to tell the truth in a world that is moving so rapidly and in which the political alliances shift too quickly. With science fiction, I can take my time, explore some themes, and society's not going to move out from under me, as it did with the thriller. Yeah, so that's really the thing. I was a bit of an activist when I was younger, and I can no longer necessarily associate myself with the causes as they exist today.
Tell me, Peter, Mind's Eye Theatre. Where did that name come from?
Originally, I was going to do it as an audio series. And radio being the theatre of the mind, Mind's Eye Theatre. I kept the name even when we decided to make it a book instead, because I realized that I might write the story over here, but the story only completes itself once it's in the mind of the reader, and that they're as integral to closing the loop. They're actually the ones that tell half the story. the images in their head. I can only send a message, but how they receive that message and what they make of it in their own heads is the really special part.
And can be truly horrifying.
I cannot possibly give you a visual as scary as what you can dream up in your own imagination. That's the magic. So Mind's Eye Theatre is all about the fact that half the story exists in your mind's eye. That's where the magic lies, in fact.
Brilliant.
I only do half the work.
Yeah. I love it.
I'm lazy that way.
So you write books, you create content, you create audio books, novels, short stories. How do all these different formats, how do you correlate them all? How do you work with them all?
They're all very different, and you shouldn't even try to correlate them. They each work in their own different. They each work in their own ways. The short story I mentioned the last time is like a one-punch or a 1-2 punch. You have that very quick bit that you can bring across, and it's a quick impulse. And it's really about relaying that impulse to someone. Whereas with a novel, it's a longer, and therefore you have more room in a novel. You can go down side streets and you can explore a bit more. In a film, you have the visual, of course, which tells more than half the story, not so much the words, but the visuals do so much of the work. And in an audio thing, you must remember that you must put the images in people's head, but all you have is what they hear. So what's involved in writing each of these is very different. A short story, you have your impulse, you think about it, the subconscious does its work on you, but you really write these in 1 to 2 sittings. A short film is the same. A movie you write in 2 weeks. I write in 2 weeks and it's done. It's easier for me as a format. Whereas the novel for me is the really challenging one. That's 6 to 9 months of your life that feels like a bad marriage.
Wow.
And you hate it.
Yeah.
Always. You start all fresh and new, and then it becomes like a really unhappy marriage.
So do you have to be really disciplined with the novel side of things?
Yes. A novel is a marathon.
Yeah.
A novel takes a lot. It takes your soul.
Yeah.
A novel takes a lot. Short story's quick. You can do that in 1 afternoon or 2 days and it's out. Whereas with a novel, it goes on for so long. And it's very easy to lose your way. A lot of beginner writers, and I don't want to skip ahead, but a lot of beginner writers would sometimes do things like write the first chapter 7 times because they're trying to get it perfect. It's a mistake. You've got to get it right, you need to get it written, not get it right in your first draft. But even so, as you progress, it wants to go in places where you might not necessarily want it to go. So it's the most important work I can do, and it's the most difficult work I can do.
So I'm hearing there that you have to be quite disciplined as well.
Disciplined, yes. Disciplined, yes, because it's the easiest thing in the world to give up. So you have to see it through, yes. And it's not always easy. You don't always feel like it. But I feel like you can't be too prima donna about it. The guy that fries my chips at McDonald's is not always feeling like being there. But if you want to eat, you have to work. So if you've chosen to write books for a living, then chipper up, sunshine. You can't wait for the inspiration. The muses are going to have to catch up. You're going to have to sit your ass down and you're going to have to write. And it's, of course, sounds very glamorous and sounds very, you're a writer. Oh, it's so magical. What it looks like in practice is me behind a laptop going like this. So it's not a charmed life. It's work like any other. and you have to get your shit together, get your focus on, and do the work. That's how it's done.
I love that.
Can't be too, I'm waiting for inspiration, or I need to go on a retreat, or this thing in my life needs to work first, or I need to wait for that. You can't. If this is what you do, if telling stories is what you do, then you need to tell stories. And then novels, if you have the bravery to do that, then that's what you need to do. You need to suffer for 6 to 9 months. And it really is. It takes so much. It's hard to describe to someone what happens. Some characters, there's this character in the old thriller, Jimmy. When I wrote Jimmy, I'd been messed up for weeks. Every time I had to put my head in that guy's head.
So would you say you absorb your characters then, and their feelings and their personalities for the period of time that you're writing?
Well, maybe that's the other way around, because they come from me. So they are bits of me. Exaggerations, perversions, extremified versions of me. But yeah, you do get consumed by it. What happens is that the subconscious becomes conscious. And they're all, in a way, characters are caricatures of subconscious parts of yourself. Now, what does happen is those subconscious parts, if you wouldn't write about them, they would stay subconscious and they would just be there. Now you get to wallow in it and spend a lot of time where you would usually skip over or ignore, or suddenly you're forced to live with it a bit, a while, a long while sometimes. So it gets difficult depending on what you write, I suppose, but yeah.
Probably a bit of a bad question to ask, but you know what? The readers and the beginner writers are going to want to know, where do the ideas come from?
I've heard it said a lot that you shouldn't ask a writer where the ideas come from, but it's actually a very good question. It's actually a very good question. It depends on the form, I feel. A short story is an impulse, an impression, a singular moment, a singular atmosphere or vibe or punch, twist that you want to convey. So sometimes that is as simple as something you see, or something you hear, or something that occurs to you. A novel is never one idea. It's the convergence of several ideas, and it's really about weaving these together. A film is very, very visual, so the ideas for films occur visually. Before I write a script, I usually storyboard before I write a screenplay in scripts, because what you're conveying there is purely visual. So the ideas come from everywhere and anywhere, but it is not so much about the ideas, because ideas are also a dime a dozen. They're free, they're cheap, they're everywhere ideas. It's about how you lodge those ideas, develop those ideas, expand on those ideas within yourself before you give it through in the storytelling. That's the part that's tricky. Ideas are literally, there's more ideas than I can ever write. I've got more stories to tell. I know I will die before I tell every story I've got in me. I know that. It's impossible to tell every story. There's millions. I can come up with 1 million ideas every day. It's not the idea that you sell, though. You sell a book, or you sell a movie, or you sell a short story. There's a product. So the idea is not even 5% of what it's about. It's making the idea come to life. And then there's the truth that a bad idea told by a good storyteller is better than an exceptional idea told badly. So yeah, ideas are great, and we love them, and they literally are everywhere. If you're willing to look, you'll see ideas left, right, and center. There's no shortage of ideas. Ideas isn't the point, though. They're not what tells the story. There's more to the story than the idea.
I like that. There's more to the story than just the idea.
Yeah.
It's the culmination.
Yes.
Talk to me about how you write. Have you got any writing rituals? Where do you write? What does it look like? Because in my mind's eye, you're in a little tiny box room behind a little physical typewriter going ding, ding, ding. What does it actually look like in real life?
Yes, that's interesting. Okay, so I've already said that I'm not like this artiste. I don't believe that, I need my happy slippers or I need my lucky rabbit's tail. I don't believe in that. It is a job. And as it is a job, discipline is just the overwhelming part of it. You just have to sit down and actually write. So it's the ABC method. Apply bottom to chair. And just do it. Sometimes it's that. But then writing is also not one thing, but several things. There's the ideas, like I said, and then the development of the idea. And sometimes this involves talking to trusted people, bouncing things of people. Sometimes that's talking. Sometimes that's reading and research. Sometimes there's getting things wrong and having to try again. There's planning it out if you're a planner. Some people write just with the idea and then they write. I use a plan, and I plan the work out, and then I work with it. And that's more like a project manager than it is a creative process. You're really trying to build scaffolding around this thing that you're trying to build and construct. And then there's the writing itself. Now, in terms of that, I like to do that first thing in the morning before anyone else wakes up. It's usually around 3 a.m.
Wow.
or 4 a.m., and that's when the creative flows. And then I get it out. So I have a plan, and then I start, according to the plan, to put things down. And then once it's down, comes the editing phase, and it's as important to edit. The books and the movies and the short stories happen in the edit, not in the telling, not that first draft. The first draft is usually bad.
Okay. And
you have to fix it in the edit. You see the plot holes. You see that character can be a bit stronger. You don't know what's coming. That first draft, that initial creative thing comes through you, and then you have to kind of whip it into shape and move this over there and do that over there. And then once that's done, you still have to sell this stuff. So writing, the era where you can be some charmed person in your lucky bathrobe, sitting in a tower in isolation, simply churning out hits, is gone. That doesn't exist anymore. Whether you're traditionally published or not, you have to do a lot more work than just the book. Actually, you'd be surprised that most of the work starts when the book's done.
Wow.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's a bit like an iceberg.
It is. It is. It is. There's many different parts. It's not one thing you do. And you say, I'm a writer or I'm a storyteller. But there's so many skills, there's so many different things that you have to do to get to that product, which is the book or the movie or the short story or the audio drama or podcast, whatever it is you're writing, that piece of content. So much goes into it. Some people are lucky and they have a whole team. I'm lucky, I have a team supporting me. But even if you have a team supporting you, you are going to multitask. That's for sure. So yeah, I don't have any special things. I consume too much coffee and I like to do it early. And if you do it early and often, that's the only way you're going to get through it.
Yeah, creating a routine, a regular routine that your body almost goes into action because it knows now it's time to do that.
Save the drama for your mama and push.
I love that, yeah?
Drill sergeant in your head.
Yeah.
It's a job. It's the best job in the world. I love telling stories. It's a job. And there's nobody in the world that says, oh, my job's perfect. I never have any issues. Oh, it's so delightful to be here every month. No, everyone whines. Everyone has, an accountant will say, clients are like this. A lawyer will say, these are my gripes. Every industry that you can enter, there's some good parts, there's some bad parts. If this is what you want to do, suck it up, buttercup, and do it. That's how you do it. Okay. You've got to see it like that. You've got to be practical about it, not too dreamy. Can't be too much of an artiste. Got to work. Got to work.
It's work. It's work.
It's work. It's work.
The Mind's Eye Theatre. Now, it's got many different tonalities. It's got many different genres. It's got many different things all going along. How do you create the different tonalities within it? Because it dives from English writing to American writing and all around. How do you make that work?
In aggregate, it would seem that way. It would seem that there's all these different parts, but they do happen one at a time. And all you do is you focus on what's in front of you right now, and you do that to the best of your ability, and you get that out. So you'll notice that there's American English in Mind's Eye Theatre, there's British English in Mind's Eye Theatre, there's also Canadian English in Mind's Eye Theatre, because wherever the story is told, that's the English we went with. And then there's the character and there's the setting. You put yourself in that space and you tell one story as truthfully and as completely as you can. You plan the work and then you work the plan, and you focus on each individual bit and you do that bit. We tend to like to run ahead with things. Don't. Just sit there, do this story, tell this thing, be real to this thing before you move on. Break it into smaller parts and then apply a lot of focus to each individual part. That's the only way you're going to be able to do it.
So very much focus. It's that dichotomous, this is it, I'm just going to...
One story at a time, one character at a time, one scene at a time, one paragraph at a time, one sentence at a time, one word at a time.
Breaking it down so it's almost so small, it'll be silly not to do it.
Nobody can write a 180,000 words book. Nobody can. But anybody can write 2,000 words a day. Mm. And that's how you get to the 180,000 words book.
I love that approach, yeah.
You cannot eat an elephant until you start cutting it into smaller pieces. Sorry to the elephants and the elephant lovers if I'm going to outrage those people now. I'm sorry. I love elephants.
Oh, dear. Thinking about all your characters, you do jump around, as we were just saying, from English to Canadian to American. You jump genders, you jump ethnicities even. How do you approach writing from a different background?
That's quite a contentious issue in contemporary publishing. They have these sensitivity readers that they bring on that are qualified by I don't know what. And I oppose it vehemently. There's this idea that you have to be a member of a group to understand that group. And I think that belies our common humanity. I don't think there's that much difference between me and a woman. I don't think there's that much difference between me and a black person or a Chinese person. I think our humanity unites us, and that there are things that are slightly different. There's things I won't get. I've never been female. There are things that the girls know. But then I have 4 wonderful sisters, and I've had women bosses, and I've had women friends. Is it really that different to be able to put yourself in the shoes of someone else? I don't believe so. I don't think we're that different. I think people are people. And I think we're more alike than we're different. And I think you should be able to enter the headspace of anyone. And I don't think anyone is that mysterious that no one else can get them. I don't buy identity politics. I reject it wholly and out of hand. I can write whatever characters I can put my head in. I need to be honest and sincere when I do so. I cannot caricature people. I cannot go in and, there is that, and you see this with a lot with male writers, especially in the 1990s. You know, that the way they would describe their female characters are very, very much for the benefit of the male readers. But I think that's just because they weren't willing to really put themselves in someone else's shoes.
So I'm hearing there's quite a bit of empathy there, empathy and understanding of other cultures, other people, and reaching deep in. So it's down to knowledge or learning?
That's a very interesting question. Empathy is a word that scares me a lot because it's one of these words that get thrown around and often used more as a hammer than anything else, ironically. You know, you should be empathetic, but you cannot possibly understand what these people are going through. So, and I don't buy that. I buy that you can put yourself in the headspace of someone else. I once wrote about a character that experienced being shot. I've never been shot. I've had tremendous tooth pain, and I simply remembered my toothache and I transplanted that to the bullet wound. I don't need to be shot to know that it hurts, and I know what hurt is. And hurt is more intense or less intense, but it is the same. You do need to have knowledge, and you do need to seek out enough knowledge to believably bring a character to life. So you do need to do some research. But it's not about researching what other cultures are like or all that. That makes it false. It's a lot like method acting. The tendency that some actors had in the stage back in those days was to overact, like this am-dram kind of thing. Look at me acting. Whereas what the method actor does is he simply convinces himself or herself in that moment this is real. And then the acting happens naturally. So if you can genuinely put yourself in the shoes of someone else and just imagine for a moment what it's like to be a person in that, a human, in that environment, in that situation, in that shoes, in that skin, in that culture, in that time, in that era. It's not that hard if you can place yourself there. You need to know enough to be able to create the environment around them. But their skin is as human as yours. And your skin is as human as theirs. You're not that different from other people, I think. So
what I'm hearing is knowledge is power. Knowledge gives you the power to be able to do what you do.
It has to be more than knowledge, though.
Right.
It has to be more than knowledge. You can know someone and not like them. You can know someone and not, I don't like the word, but you have to be empathetic. You have to feel the reality of being them or being in that space. You can know the space and not empathize. Yeah. But you do have to be able to put yourself there, put yourself in somebody else's shoes, or rather wear someone else's shoes yourself, because it's bits of you that necessarily become characters or whatever. But this idea that I need to approach someone of the right demographic to write that demographic is bullshit, and I won't stand for it.
So we call bullshit then?
And that's bullshit. I call bullshit on that.
Good.
I don't think. I think it's a nonsense idea. You as a reader, have read books with a male protagonist, and you weren't handicapped to understand where the protagonists were because of your gender. As a story receiver or a story sender, it's the same. You're a human being. More unites us than divides us. And we tend to lose sight of that in a hypersensitive world run by identity politics. I don't buy it, and I have no time for it.
When I look at your stories, there's an element of realism throughout them. Why is realism important to you?
There are writers that are very good with surreal or those kind of. I struggle to I struggle to access that. I like my fiction to feel like non-fiction. I like possibility. That's why I don't write fantasy. Fantasy never was, never can be, but science fiction could be. So personally, the closer the mirror I hold up is to the reality it represents, the better. Realism for me is how I access the stories, and it's how those stories are experienced. Now, there are people who do it differently, but I very often find them inaccessible. It's very difficult for me to, like a Salman Rushdie, to read his work, and it's dreamlike, and it's beautifully rich, and it's very rich of symbolism. It's almost a mythology. I don't like those stories. I like stories that are real and feels real. It's just, I suppose, part of my voice. Realism. Sometimes maybe too much of it, but I do like giving people the sense when they read my things that this could happen, or has happened, or will happen.
So, Peter, tell me, there's lots of twists in your stories. Possibly the toy box was my favourite. Tell me, are twists important to you?
They happen to have twists, but I don't think you necessarily need to have a twist in every story. And it can become quite problematic to always look for the twist. The job is to leave you with a scare, a suspense, a gross out, a shock, a something. Sometimes the twist is used to deliver that shock. But it's perfectly fine to have a story with no twist, but that leaves you with just that impression of horror or gore or whatever it is. What I did try to do in the stories is touch different aspects of horror. Some are more supernatural, spooky, some are more gothic, some are more visceral, some are more gross, some are more suspenseful. So I try to cover all my bases there. I like twists, but there's nothing worse than a badly delivered twist, the twist you see coming, so try to avoid those.
Talk to me about beginner writers. What would be the most important piece of advice that you could give them?
I can go on and on and on about this, but I think three things. I think there's a lot of good advice out there. A lot of good books, a lot of good websites. The lectures of Brandon Sanderson is all on YouTube. It's worth at least a couple of semesters at writing school to just listen to those lectures, and they're free. Buy some books, develop your craft. That's part one. Part two is exactly the opposite. Be very wary, be very careful. There's a whole cottage industry out there that preys on the insecurities and the doubts and the fears of beginner writers. They will sell you all kinds of things. Anything you can buy on Facebook is probably not going to help you. Be careful of all the gurus that have advice and not. Pick up Stephen King's On Writing. Pick up The Elements of Style. Pick up all these, Robert McKee's story. There's so many good books. Go to a library, pick them up, learn your craft, but don't part with your hard-earned cash, because what somebody can sell you for money is probably not going to make you a writer. And the very last part is, it's quite simple. Writing is a verb, and if you do it, you're a writer. So just write. Write a lot. If you write early and often, you'll be a writer. It's that simple.
I like that. Quite concise, quite simple.
Do it. And don't. There's no magic formula. There's no secret tricks. There's nothing that you're missing that some guru on the internet can teach you for, $1,000 or a couple of easy payments.
Yeah. Don't buy into the snake oil.
No, there's a lot of snake oil when it comes to writing. A lot.
Yeah.
So avoid.
Sage advice.
Yeah.
So you write short stories, novels, films, and audio stories.
Would
you ever adapt your own work?
No. I'm incapable of doing that.
Tell me more about that.
When I write a story, I write it with a format in mind. So my films are films, and I write that because I know I will be directing the films as well. I don't write screenplays for other directors or for other studios, other production houses. I know what I'm in for when I write a film, and that is the film. I know what I'm in for when I write a novel, and that is a complete project. For me to take my own story out of the one format and put it into another is just beyond me. I wouldn't know how you do that. I couldn't turn one of my science fiction books into a movie any more than I can turn a horror short story into a novel, or it's just the formats are too different for me. So for me, the story is complete once it's done. If somebody else wants to run with it, then I suppose, you know, if I'm paid well, then that's fine.
Absolutely.
But yeah, if they acquire the rights, and I'd be happy for people to go there. It's not me though.
I love that. We've talked about the various things that you've done. We've talked about the various things that you are currently involved in. Would you be rolling into podcasts? Because we have so much to talk about and so little time.
Oh, doing a podcast? Oh, well, I did one for a while called Extremely Forward.
Okay.
It is on YouTube, the first season still, and it was fun. It's just that the number one job is storytelling, and I cannot really detract from that. So I'm open to it. But look, the audio stories are podcasts. It's just not me, not my voice or whatever. So I'm open to kind of anything, and I'm happy to do that. But it's what I don't want to do, and you find this a lot, is in order to build your brand or to get more fans or to be more visible or to have an excuse to be seen and noticed, people start teaching others how to write. I think there's more than enough advice out there already. So I'm not going to do a podcast teaching you how to be a writer. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell my stories. That's my focus. I want people to enjoy it. Other than that, I'm happy to chat to anyone at any time, about anything, provided there's time. We're quite busy. I like audio as a format, but I'm more of a storyteller than I am a personality. I think I'm actually incredibly boring. All the wonderful stuff happens on the page, happens on the screen. The reality of me is in my bath coat, sitting, typing away. Nothing to see there.
I think we'll have to agree to disagree there, because I find you thoroughly fascinating.
Oh, shucks. Oh, shucks, blush this whole thing.
Lovely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Look, I'm the comeback kid. Watch the way we flip it till it comes back in. Elevate the hustle, gotta stack your ends. Cause when you multiply the digits, you subtract your friends. Looking at your life now, blessing coming right down. Every day you wake, it feel like blue skies and white clouds. Circle like a dot, I be rocking with the right crowd. Call me JG, dog, I need the money right now. Used to have a bucket, a pen, and a coat. Now we got a Benz with stars in a rope. Showing that we love, a dream, we do. Everything they say, you can't make it true. Ignorance is bliss and the killer of a star. Never let another man tell the people who you are. Make it through the struggle. If you grow from every scar, you gon' come back again, bro. It's time to do it large. Yeah. Come back here, I get it done. Watch the way we flip it. Real deal. Come back here, elevate the hustle. I'm the future. Watch me innovate. Come back here, I get it done. Watch the way we flip it. Real deal. Come back here, elevate the hustle. I'm the future. Watch me innovate. What you gotta bring to it? Since you talking about it, go and get some green through it. My lifestyle is a real hustle steam music. You can't stay the same forever, gotta show improvement. And it don't say much, you gotta show and prove it. Yeah, I get it done before you see me do it. There he go again, talking like he on the ship. Real deal, bought the land and I built the crib. I'm out the way but never went astray. I'm the future, watch me innovate. Stand for something or get out the way. I play the game a real play away. Around the clock, I'm on the day to day. Keep the gatekeepers out the safe. With God's recipe, I made a way. Yeah, you in danger if you play it safe.